Hello, and welcome to Mint Edition, YouTube exclusive. Take a look at Jomi right now. That's right. Look at his face. Look at his supple, beautiful beard. Did you get a lineup today? No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
You did
I
not.
got one a couple weeks ago. So.
He's looking good, though.
Crispy.
That's right. We're on YouTube, baby. We got exclusive interview for you guys today. We had a great time talking to Jack Quaid, talking about his new movie, Novocaine.
Yep.
We had a wonderful time.
We talked Novocaine, but we also talked The Boys.
Yep.
Star Trek Lower Decks. Some Rampage. What? We're locked in, brother.
Did he play the bongos at the Oppenheimer audition? We'll find out.
We asked him.
We did. No, this was a great chat that we had with Jack Quaid, and hopefully we get to talk to him again soon sometime. Maybe we'll see him on Ring Request.
Check it out.
Enjoy.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Lovely. Where are you right now? Are you in LA?
No, I'm in a hotel room in New York. I just did the Drew Barrymore show, and she waxed my leg hair on TV. It was an experience. It's
okay.
I feel like I had a dream like this once. It was like, and now I'm like, oh, I've been here before. But this is this is crazy.
We're gonna talk about it, but you be getting put through the ringer, man.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh yeah. Some might say I've been put through the ringer verse, but you know, what do I know?
Oh my goodness, buddy.
Do you have to say the word ringer on every podcast episode? Is that part of it?
I mean, when we intro, it is the ringer verse, so it makes.
There you go.
They keep the brand strong. That's what they always say.
You got to.
It's all about brand strength.
Of course.
Do it.
All right, great. Jomi, you want to kick us off?
I can kick us off.
Yeah.
Listen, so I literally just saw a TikTok of you in an interview, and everybody's talking about when you walk down the street. Oh, Huey. That's all you. That's all you hear, right?
Yeah, all the time.
In this movie, Novocaine, it's a little different. Instead of getting your ass kicked, you doing the ass kicking.
Well, I'm also getting my ass kicked quite a lot as well.
Take you to, but at least it's 50-50 this time, right?
Sure.
How did it feel in this movie to finally be like, all right, I'm the guy who's going to deliver the beats?
Oh man, that was cool, dude. I mean, like I've done a little bit of action scenes here and there for The Boys, but I'm usually that guy kind of cowering in the corner in that show. Mm-hmm. I shoved Homelander once, and that felt very good. But I've always been a person who's really interested in using my physicality as a performer. I'm a sketch comedian. I do live sketch shows all the time, and my favorite thing to do is to find a way to use my floppy limbs for comedy. And Novocaine definitely provided that opportunity. It was really cool to, dive headfirst into the fight choreography, figure out how this character specifically fights, because he's not a trained fighter and he can't feel physical pain. So there was a lot to wrap my head around there. But yeah, I just really relished that opportunity. And every day something insane was going on. It really was. Whether that was like the amount of injuries, the prosthetics that they had to apply to me, or a fight scene, or hanging upside down for an entire afternoon while we shot a scene where I'm suspended midair. It was just a blast. It was really, really cool.
That's so interesting. So obviously there's a lot of things that kind of go off the cuff in this movie. Lots of stunt work that is quite imaginative that I genuinely did not anticipate. Was there anything that you kind of discovered on the day that we were you were trying to work out a stunt either with the crew or the director or something like that kind of came up organically that wasn't exactly in the script? They're like, well, we can't do something quite like this. Maybe we can make it work this way.
Oh man, that's a really good question. I think kind of the nature of stunt scenes is you rehearse those things so much. My favorite thing in stunt scenes is the previs. It's when the stunt team is they make a movie, essentially. They shoot it on their phones or whatever, and it takes place in their stunt studio, and they're using all cardboard props.
The walls of cardboard boxes and stuff. Yeah.
But it's basically a mock-up of what the scene will eventually look like. And it's my favorite thing because it's just a slightly lo-fi version of what you're going to do. And that's my favorite thing to watch. But yeah, no, there's sometimes things will come up where you can't do something a certain way, so you have to pivot, and it's all about safety, and so they're trying to work that out. But I think my favorite thing that we shot, and it was intended to go this. Oh, actually, okay. So there is a shot of me in the first real fight scene of the movie where we're in a kitchen, and I get shoved into the fridge. I get slammed head first in the fridge, and then I get shoved onto a table, and figuring out how to match that movement with our incredible DP, Brett Hurd, like matching the stunt with the camera was so cool. But in the meantime, I'm just actually slamming my head up against the fridge. So that was like definitely a memorable day. And I think that shot is maybe my favorite shot of the movie. It's very like, it's kind of tracking with me as I just keep slamming, from one thing to the next. And the whole time I can't wince or anything, because then that just betrays the whole premise of the movie.
Yeah. You mentioned safety. One thing about Nathan Cain is that he was not safe. He was very much putting his life on the line.
Oh yeah.
In between like putting his hand in burning oil or like using his bone as a knife. It's crazy. Of all the injuries that Nathan Cain had in the movie, what's the one, at least the ones that most people can survive, obviously. What's the one that you would like, this is the last thing I want to happen to me?
It's funny, like I'm on The Boys, so it takes a lot to shock me. But I think I found my line with there's a scene involving my fingernails that
I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it.
It's tough. And even me, it's tough for me to watch it, and it was tough for me to do it on the day because obviously those are prosthetics.
Right.
But that's still on my real hand, and I'm just watching them, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I've done scenes where I'm like inside of a beached whale on The Boys. Like it's just nuts. But that's what I love about the character is that because of his condition, we all think it might be really cool if we didn't feel physical pain, but it actually can be quite dangerous because, pain is the body's warning system. And like, just because he doesn't feel pain doesn't mean he can't get hurt. And if you don't know that you're hurt for a while, that can be kind of dangerous. So in the beginning of the movie, he's like baby-proofed his house, essentially, where all the sharp corners have tennis balls on them. And he needs to make sure that, if he pours coffee into his mug from the office, that there's like ice in that cup so that it's not too hot because he wouldn't know. So he has to live this very safe existence. And then to flip that on its head, once Sherry, his love interest, gets kidnapped, he's just risking it all for her. And he's just putting himself into situations that he never would before. That's what I love the most about the character is that it's just he's doing all these things that he's just lived his whole life trying to avoid.
Well, and you mentioned your wonderful co-star Amber Midthunder. This movie is actually quite sweet and earnest at points.
Yeah.
And I was really moved at certain moments in the movie where your character was really being both vulnerable and hilariously socially awkward. Well, like, was there a moment in the script where you're like, oh, this movie's kind of operating on a different level that's not just cartoonish action and fun? And how did you kind of approach that when you had that like kind of a more intimate scene in the beginning of the movie?
Well, that was the reason I signed on to do the movie, because if this movie was just gore and just violence, that's fun, but it didn't really appeal to me. I'd say that I was trying to, and I know Dan and Bobby, the directors, this was really important to them, and it was really important to Amber. We tried to inject as much heart as possible into this movie. And I wanted to make Nathan, to contrast all the horrible things that are happening, all the gnarly gore and guts. If he was dark and brooding and moody, it would just be like dark on top of dark. I needed to contrast that by making Nate one of the sweetest characters I've ever played. Like, he is a cupcake of a human being. And that's by design, just so that we can, have all that violence. But if it's happening to like dude who's like, oh, I am the night, I am darkness, it's just going to be a little too much. But the romance is the biggest key part of that. And I remember when Dan and Bobby, I had my first meeting with them, and they were like, we want to put just as much into these romantic scenes as we did, as we're going to do to the action scenes. Then I was hooked because I knew they were really smart, because the whole movie hinges on that relationship. It lives or dies on whether or not you believe in the love between Sherry and Nate. Because if you don't care about them, you don't care about Nate trying to save her for the whole movie. So that was really important to me. And we rehearsed for those scenes about as much as I did for the action scenes. And I love them together. They're a very, very cute couple.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. You mentioned your background earlier, and like, I know, you do a lot of 5-second films. That stuff is really
I love them.
cool.
So I've been a fan of theirs for years. So the fact that I get to hang out with them at all is the best.
It's great. But like you mentioned, the comedy also is a part of this movie that I thought worked. One of my biggest laughs in the film is at the end when you're at the prison and the guard is yelling, "Is that an open flame I see?" Like that's kind of stuff was just hilarious.
It was so good. That guy too, I forgot his name, but he came in, he just, he has one scene in the movie and he just absolutely runs away with it.
There was an extra shot that I saw. I'm like, he was cooking on set that day because they gave him an extra shot in the movie.
Also, like, we shot this movie in Cape Town. That is not his natural accent. He just nailed an authentic American accent. And he's like one of the funniest parts of the movie. That guy's amazing.
He was awesome. So when you're like, reading the script, getting on set, making this film, how do you inject, are you improvising? Are you doing it as is? How do you inject humor into the film, like as Nathan Cain?
Well, it's a mixture of both. Like, I really enjoyed this script. And, sometimes when I really enjoy a script, I think most directors are like, yeah, have fun with it after we get it a couple ways as scripted. But then there are some times where I'm like, no, I think this is good. I think if I add more, not to disparage certain comedies, but there was kind of a trend there for a while in some comedies where at a certain point you as the audience could tell when they were off script, when they were going on a riff. And it would happen for like 1 or 2 beats too long. So if I improvise, I try to make it a little bit more succinct, just like if I have like a line or something, I try to make it like as tight as possible so that it feels like maybe that could have been part of the script. And Dan and Bobby gave us so much freedom after we got the takes done as scripted a few times. And I think the biggest moment of improv from me probably was there's a torture scene in the movie. And I think that day they just kind of let me run wild, and that was so much fun to do. That might have been the most fun I had on the movie.
That's wonderful.
If you can believe that I had fun during a torture scene.
Oh, I can easily imagine that.
It looked like fun because you're sitting there and you got like fake being in pain. You know what I mean? Which for anybody would be hard because I'm just imagining my nails getting peeled off and I would be freaking out.
It's rough.
But you have to act stoic, and then on top of that, be like, oh, actually, I'm pretending that this hurts.
Right.
Yeah. I love that that's a moment where we flip the premise on its head. Like the whole time we're like, all right, Nate's not going to react when he gets pain, but I love him acting like he feels pain. And not only that, acting very badly. Like I love any opportunity where I get to be a bad actor. I love that. And please don't take that line out of context. Jack Quaid says he's a bad actor.
Oh, this is going to go viral. Yeah, you're cooked.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
TikTok's going crazy
I'm
now.
terrible.
No, it's wonderful. So one of my final questions that I had is, you had mentioned that you're a big sketch comedy fan, and a bit back in the day, you also did a Dungeons and Dragons sketch show with a couple of your improv friends that I had seen.
Yes. Yeah, no, they still do it. It's it's called Hero Club. Mm-hmm. I'm technically a producer. It is it's a Dungeons and Dragons show where you go through this campaign. You're listening to people go through the campaign, but the thing that makes Hero Club different was there's no crosstalk. Everything that you hear is the characters' lines, and we add in sound effects and these kind of soundscapes and sometimes original music. It's very fun. It's like you're just kind of listening to a radio play, but it's all been. The way that it's playing out is all based on dice rolls,
and I love that about the conceit of the show. And I was curious, like of the characters that you've been able to play, like can you possibly think of like a Dungeons and Dragons character sheet for one of your characters?
Oh man,
if Novocaine possibly goes through that.
Oh my god, I would actually love to play Novocaine as part of a D&D campaign. That'd be incredible. I really want to one day. I have something that I'm about to start working on. I can't really say what it is, but I would love to start my process of figuring out who this character is based on a D&D sheet. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll up their stats based off what I think their whole vibe is, and I'll play a campaign as that character before I actually play the character on the set. I think that's what I'm going to do.
Hey,
and we'll see how that goes. That's like always
I know you're
been
tied
a dream
up
of mine.
right now, but standing invite to Ringer Quest. We're just saying.
Okay, I'll be there. That'll be really, really fun.
That was funny. He said no crosstalk. I was like, it's not going to work over here. That's all it is.
No. Hey, I love crosstalk. I really do. But just for our show, we're like, that way that show will be like, with crosstalk, it'd be like 15 hours long. And most of the crosstalk is me like being confused on how to play Dungeons and Dragons. Like I'm good, but I'm not, all my characters are usually characters that are like barbarians, like just someone, someone that's like, okay, I roll to see if I punched the guy and how hard did I punch the guy? Like that's my level, really.
So, and part of the conceit of the movie is that Nathan doesn't really have friends. He's got one friend, shout out Jacob.
Dude, Jacob's amazing.
He's awesome.
Oh.
If your character was going to have one friend of all the characters you played, who would be the closest? Would it be Clark? Would it be Huey? Or would it be Boimler?
Ooh, dude, that's a good question. I love them all. I think, Clark is just like the sweetest dude. Like, I don't know, probably he'd be, but he's very busy because he has another job that he won't tell me about. Maybe, I think I'm going to have to go with Huey. I love Boimler, but I know Boimler would stress me out a little bit. So I think I'm going to go with Huey. He's a good dude.
Well, because I feel like Boimler and Nathan would be great. Like,
yes,
they'd be great friends. Don't take no risks. Don't do anything crazy. Up until Nathan's like, yo, I got to go get my girl. Boimler would lose his absolute mind. He would lose his mind.
Like, what do you mean? Yeah, he'd be like very... It'd be a couple of... I did inject a couple of Boimler screams into Novocaine.
I was like, wait a minute.
I was like, that's Boimler.
I had to. I mean, every now and then I'll hit you with that high-pitched scream. I just love doing it. I realized that I could do that back when I did a movie called Rampage. I remember I had to I auditioned for that movie, and there's a scene where a giant gorilla busts through a wall, and it says screams a high-pitched scream in the audition sides. And I remember doing it in the audition room, and I remember leaving, and the entire office definitely heard it. They were looking at me because they didn't think that noise came from me. And that was the moment where I was like, that scream might be something. And I remember in the movie Rampage, I do that scream, the giant gorilla busts through the wall, but it's kind of a wide shot where you see the entire office and there's a lot of like other noises. So it's hard to pick out or even understand where it's coming from. But then when Boimler came along, I was like, I got this thing. Let's go. Let's use this thing, baby.
I can imagine that's exactly how the Oppenheimer audition went. That's just like,
exactly.
We're going to cook today.
They're like, we love that scream, but can you play the bongos?
Yes.
It's literally in the theater. I think it's in the kitchen scene. I hear the Boimler scream. I'm like, that's my guy.
Oh my God.
Guy. That's my dude. Season 6, when's it coming, Jack? People are wondering. People are asking.
Yeah, it's our final season, man. We're shooting it right now of The Boys. It's coming. I have no idea when it's coming, actually. But yeah, we're shooting it right now. It's going to be so. I mean, the show has changed my life for the better, like almost overnight. I've been such a nerd my whole life, so I had always wanted to be a part of some sort of superhero universe. Maybe I remember thinking like, oh, maybe I could be in a DC movie or a Marvel movie, but never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be on the ground floor of a superhero universe that's entirely its own thing. And I'm so grateful for that. That show has done so much for me and for everyone. I've met all those incredible people, and we're all genuinely great friends. Like, that cast is so tight. And, I think we're going to remain friends for the rest of our lives, but it is, I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle of it now, so it's not quite dawning on me yet that it's the last season, but I just know I'm going to weep like a baby when it's all over. Yeah, it's going to be very bittersweet. But
it's nuts though, Jack.
What?
You could still be in a DC and Marvel movie. There's a lot of game.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's off the table. I would love that. That'd be so cool. But
Jack Quaid, Cyclops. Who says no? Hey,
scream aside.
I didn't say nothing.
What Cyclops needs is a high-pitched scream.
I agree.
That's what all the fans want.
We've been missing that.
Cyclops.
That's what I just said that. I just hit Kevin Feige right now. I was like, yo, you know who needs a high-pitched scream? Cyclops. What's up?
Cyclops, yeah.
Come on now. We gonna get you, man. Don't worry about it. We gonna see you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you rooting for me. Yeah. Thank you.
And we appreciate you coming on, and we really appreciate your time. We had a great time watching Novocaine, and it's been really exciting to talk to you, man.
Thanks, man.
It.
Likewise. Thanks for having me, guys.
That was fun.
Yes, it was.
Absolute blast.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching. And
thanks, Jack Quaid, for coming through. That was great.
Appreciate it, buddy. We are going to be talking about that and more on the latest edition of Mint Edition. And if you want to check out more of that, feel free to listen to that wherever you get your podcasts on the Ringerverse podcast feed.
On the Spotify.
Or wherever you get your podcasts. We're not too partial.
Well, we are kind of partial.
We're a little partial. We see the logo right there. So, yeah.
Let's be for real.
Let's be for real. All right. Enjoy. We'll see you next time.